I'm going to revisit my top 10 most anticipated board games of 2020. Thank you for joining me today at Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Kevin Delp. Earlier this year, almost a whole year ago, back in January, I did my top 10 most anticipated board games of 2020. Well, now I've played most of these games. I played all of them but one, and I want to reorder the list. So I'm going to rank them on how I like them now. So I did actually have 11 on the list. So I will start with my number 11 now, Dice Realms. I think this would be higher, but it never came out in 2020. Probably due to what happened all in 2020, but I'm still looking forward to this, so it might show up in the 2021 list. So Dice Realms, I just couldn't really add it to this list in the top 10 because I never played it and it's not out yet. So at the bottom of this list, actually, I played Chrono Corsairs from Tasty Minstrel Games. This game really intrigued me at the beginning of the year. This theme, I like pirate-themed games. This time thing going on in the game, it really intrigued me. This game is for 2 to 5 players. It takes over an hour to play. I would agree with the time length. It took maybe a little bit over an hour to play when I played this game a few times. This game actually disappointed me a little bit. I'm okay. I like area control games. This game was maybe a little too combative for me. I'm okay with player interaction games. This game was maybe a little bit too mean of a game in my estimation, in my opinion. I think if you like those kinds of games, then you're gonna like this game. Once again, it's not about the area control, it's just about maybe a little bit there's too much meanness going on in the game. The time thing going on in the game, it was okay. I think my anticipation, my expectations of how that was going to work didn't really meet reality. So the game was okay for me. I think the game itself, like the component quality and the production value is great. This might be a game for you. It just was not a game for me, so that's why it's at the bottom of the list. In the number 9 spot is Succulent from Renegade Game Studios. I like most of what Renegade Game Studios, and this game is fine. I enjoyed the game, but there were so many awesome, great games that came out, many, and a few from Renegade Game Studios. But Succulent is in the number 9 spot. I like what this game is doing. There's tile placement, there's set collection going on. And J. Alex Cavern, I like his game designs. This hit fine. I'm saying it's a fine game. But it wasn't to me a great game. And that's why it's in my number 9 spot. The component quality, the production value is great. I like the little pieces in the game. Lots of good things in the game. Like I said, it's a good game. To me, it's just not a great game. My City is in the number 8 spot. This was a little bit higher on the list than my anticipated list. I enjoyed all the plays of My City. Now, My City, if you're not familiar with, is a tile placement game, and it's a competitive tile placement game that sort of has a legacy element to it. There's a number of scenarios, campaign that you're going through. You're opening envelopes, you're putting stickers on things. You are basically changing the game state from game to game. Loved the game play, but to me, the experience for campaign type games and even legacy type games, I've played much better ones with like Pandemic Legacy Season 1 and things like that. I've really enjoyed those. The experience really has to draw you in with legacy games. My City, the experience was good, and there is a non-legacy version to the game. To me, that was just okay. I enjoyed my plays of the 24 games of the legacy game. but and I would recommend playing it if you enjoy tile laying games, but it is definitely in the number 8 spot for me here. Fort from Leader Games is in the number 7 spot. It was actually in the number 7 spot in my top 10 most anticipated games, so it stayed in the same spot. I was expecting a good, solid deck building game, and Leader Games delivered a good, solid deck building game. This has a sort of follow the leader mechanic. I like the theme. It has a fun theme, and it plays well. For me personally, it plays well at a higher player count. It plays 2 to 4 players. I personally would recommend this way more at the 3 or 4 player count than at the 2 player count. So loved my plays of Fort, and it still stays in the number 7 spot even a year later. Sonora from Pandasaurus Games was in my number 11 spot. Now it is in my number 6 spot, so it definitely moved up for me personally. I didn't know what this game was about. It was sort of billed as a mixture or combination of a crokinole meets a roll and write game, a flick and write, if you want to say it like that. I loved my plays, many plays of Sonora, and I really like what this game is doing. I like the flicking part, sort of the dexterity part. I love that you have these different ways of getting the points as you are flicking your discs into the different areas and how you're doing that. My one sort of thing I wish is that there were more maps for Sonora. It appears to me that they could have done that, and maybe Pandasaurus will do that, but that's the one sort of hang-up I have with Sonora. I wish, after playing it so many times, I wish that there was another side to the map, so that you could have sort of a different gameplay, or maybe even more of advanced gameplay. But totally enjoyed all my plays of Sonora. Definitely check that out from Pandasaurus Games. Number 5 is Stellar from Renegade Game Studios. This, to me, is one of the best 2-player games out there this year. This was in my number 8 spot, so this actually moved up in the ranks for me personally. Loved my plays of Stellar. The theme is awesome. The gameplay is awesome. The designers, of course, are awesome. Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback. I love the decisions that you're making in this 2-player game. Do I put it in my telescope? Do I place these cards in my notebook? What is my opponent doing, and how will that affect what cards are going to be available? Really enjoy Stellar. This game you should definitely check out. If you love 2-player games, then check out Stellar from Renegade Game Studios. Number 4 for me is Merchants of Dunhuang. This is from Mandu Games. This may not be available in the United States yet. I'm not sure if Mandu Games is going to try to distribute it themselves or work through another US publisher, but this game was in my number 9 spot, and it has moved up significantly in my rankings for games that I've really enjoyed playing. I hope it is available in the United States soon. This game is, to me, really interesting with how this little rondel mechanic going on with this camel moving around the board. You're taking actions, collecting these different resources like resource cards, silk and gold, and how that all works is just really intriguing to me, because you are trying to get majorities in your tableau, also have a certain number of cards in your hand to automatically win the game. But if that doesn't happen before the deck of cards runs out, there's basically a different endgame scoring, and so you're deciding, do I work for that? What do I work with? How do I do that in the game to actually win the game? I've really enjoyed all my plays of Merchants of Dunhuang. There's a lot of variety to the game, a lot of replayability. This plays 2 to 4 players and plays quick too. I really enjoy that in about 30 minutes. So check out Merchants of Dunhuang if it's available soon, hopefully from Mandu Games. In my number 3 spot is Mariposas from AEG Games. This was originally in my number 6 spot, so it's definitely moved up in the rankings personally for me. This is from designer Elizabeth Hargrave, who also designed Wingspan. I love the theme of this game, butterflies migrating. I really enjoy how the theme is integrated into the gameplay and how you're actually trying to migrate your butterflies up and down the eastern seaboard, and how that really works in the cards you're playing, what kind of objectives you're trying to do. So definitely have loved my games of Mariposas from AEG. In my number 2 spot is the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, The Baker Street Irregulars. This was my number 2 spot, and it stayed the same. I love this whole series, the whole Consulting Detective series. I just love them. I love how you are part of this whole world, with the Sherlock Holmes world. It's one of my favorite themes out there. I've read all the different Sherlock Holmes stories, and I really like this game. The new sort of mechanic that they added into this game has made me super happy sometimes, and sometimes has made me frustrated a little bit. Basically, the new mechanic is the game has you write down certain information, like letters. It'll say write a letter A or letter B or S or whatever when you have met or found something in your travels, and then when you get to another place, it'll say, do you have the letter T? If you do, you can continue reading. If not, you need to go find some things out. It works really well if the players all are observant enough to write down those letters. We had one game live on our show where we forgot to write down a letter. It really threw us for a loop because we're like, we went everywhere we were supposed to go. Anyway, that was our fault, not the game's fault. I like that mechanic, but it can be a hang up if you aren't observant enough, or if you don't read all you're supposed to read. So once again, I think that was more on us, not on the game mechanic, not on the game itself. So kudos to another awesome Consulting Detective, The Baker Street Irregulars from Space Cowboys. Is Tekhenu, Obelisk of the Sun from Board and Dice. This was my number 1 spot, and it just stayed there because this game is awesome. This game has dice dice drafting, not really worker placement. You are selecting dice, and you are taking an action based on where you're taking the dice, what kind of dice, what the pip value of the dice is. It is easy to understand, and it's easy to apply that on how you're going to play the game. The game has a cool obelisk that you're rotating that changes the game state, with the dice being in dark or light or things like that throughout the game. I love this game. This game will be in my top 10 games of 2020. And you'll just have to check that video out to see where it falls. It's probably really high. But we haven't made that video yet. The Tantrum guys and the Tantrum girls are going to sort of do what they did last year and have the guys do their top 10, the girls do their top 10. And we'll compare them to see who gets the most views and likes and stuff like that on those. So check those videos out, coming soon in this month of December, of the top 10 guys games of 2020 and top 10 board games of 2020 from the girls. But anyway, back to this game. This is a game for 1 to 4 players. It takes about 1 to 2 hours to play. Definitely, in my estimation, this game plays better at the higher player count. Definitely going to take a little bit longer, closer to 2 hours. But love Tekhenu, Obelisk of the Sun from Board and Dice. They hit this one out of the park. So check it out. I hope you enjoyed my revisit of all these games that I didn't even really know that much about earlier this year. Hope you enjoy this video. Check out more of our top 10s coming soon from Tantrum House.